From Dear Portugang to the Bime. This is my views on Donald Trump winning the recent election in the US. Let's check it out.
A's good, A's good, A's good, A's good. Wicked. It's Portuguese good.
All right, before we get started, I noticed that many of you who enjoy my content still haven't gotten around to subscribing. It costs you nothing to subscribe, but it really, really helps me out. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Go on, smash it. And if you don't...
That's ignorant.
All right, let's get into it. Okay, so those of you who follow the channel will know that me and Mr. Carl Munson did I think it was a 13-hour live stream following the US election that was obviously won by Mr. Donald Trump in the end. And in another of a long line of videos that I'm making where I'm probably going to lose subscribers, I'm going to tell you why overall I'm happy with the victory, and a few things that I want to say about Donald Trump. This is central Portugal rush hour, by the way. It's about 7:30 in the morning. I'm on my morning walk, and yeah, first car I've seen so far. What day is it? Friday, so it's definitely not a holiday. But anyway, I digress. Right, so the first thing I want to say about Donald Trump is I want to kind of come out and say, if I was in America, I probably would have dragged my sorry ass out and I would have voted, and I would have voted for Donald Trump. Now, the first reason, and this is going to shock a lot of people, and I don't care. You know me by now, guys. The first reason I would have voted for Donald Trump is very, very simple. I am a white, straight man. Okay? That's just the first reason. And I know some people are going, oh my God, he's literally Hitler, the KKK white supremacist. No, you've got it wrong. The reason I would have voted for Trump because I'm a white, straight man is because it's very clear to me that the Democratic Party hate me. They are racist and sexist and straightphobic against me. They don't like me because I'm straight. They don't like me because I'm white. They don't like me because I'm man. Therefore, fuck you, Democrats. I'm not voting for you. Sick and tired of being told that, I suck just because of my gender, my sexuality, or the color of my skin. I fucking don't like racism. I don't like discrimination generally, and that's what I think the Democratic Party are about. They're all about this identity politics and dividing people up. I'm not. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what your gender is, and I don't care what your sexuality is. Therefore, I will never, ever vote Democrat. Not the way they are at the moment. Not the way they are at the moment, anyway. Maybe going back in time, maybe like Kennedy, JFK, yeah, maybe someone like that. But moving forward, people like Hillary Clinton, people like Joe Biden, people like Kamala Harris, people like Obama even. Although going back to Obama, I would have probably voted for Obama, believe it or not. It wasn't until we got into his presidency that I started to see problems with the divisive bullshit. And I'm going to make a little bit of a video about that, but if I just mention the first times I saw the problem with Obama, like everyone else, I was pretty pleased to see Obama get in. I thought, yeah, it is great to see a black man get elected, and it was great to see that he had a majority, which meant, most Americans didn't care about his skin color. He was elected, and but yeah, sure enough, as time went on, he showed that he was, well, let's just say, if I could cast your minds back to people like Clockboy, you can Google Clockboy, or you can wait. I'm going to make a video about it. And then there was the Trayvon Martin case where Obama very, very quickly came down on the identity politics side. Once the layers of the onion were peeled back, it was pretty clear that there was a lot of bullshit around. And anyway, I will make a video about this in the next few days, because I think this is another thing that's very important, is looking at the disinformation that's spread by the Democrats. And it seems to be done deliberately to try and divide people. Okay, that's how I see it as someone from abroad. I see that someone like Obama was deliberately trying to divide people. Okay, so let's go on to Trump. Now, I must be one of the very few people in the world who never watched this TV show called The Apprentice. Never watched it, and I didn't really know that much about Trump, to be honest. Really didn't. I kind of had heard vaguely about him being a very wealthy New York guy, and that was kind of the limit of my knowledge. I didn't know anything about him being on TV, and I've got a feeling that's going to sound hard to believe because everybody seems to talk about him in this show, The Apprentice. I got no awareness of it. I've never watched any of the. Was he in charge of Miss Universe or Miss America? I'm not sure. I've never watched any of them. Never had any interest. So yeah, I really knew of him just very vaguely as being a very wealthy businessman from New York. That was it. That was it. And it's quite possible that before the run up to the 2016 election, if you'd have asked me who Donald Trump was, it's quite possible that I might have even said I've heard the name, but I don't know who he is. Yeah, that's how vague it was for me. But anyway, I could see there was a lot of excitement on social media. And this is also when social media was starting to become more of a big thing, wasn't it? I saw a lot of people talking about it. And I remember watching sort of with almost disbelief how the US election unfolds. I could see it was all about the personalities and everything like that. So I was watching. And what struck me was how the mainstream media really in lockstep fell against Trump and tended to use the same kind of deception. So what I noticed was that the mainstream media wasn't really lying about Trump. What they did is they used a lot of deceptive editing, and I found it quite interesting that they all in lockstep used the same deceptive editing. And then on top of that, I also realized that many people who dislike Trump and vote Democrat don't step out of their bubble. I mean, you can tell by their beliefs that they only watch the mainstream media or they only watch leftist socials. So to give you an example, I remember watching Trump. This is sort of when I first noticed it. I remember watching Trump. I think it was being interviewed by Megyn Kelly, a Fox News presenter, and he said something about people getting angry and bleeding from their eyes, bleeding from their wherever. And I actually watched that interview, and it didn't occur to me, I think Trump meant menstruating. I don't know if any of you remember this. It was, Google it. Google Trump implies journalist menstruating, right? I just thought he was saying she was so angry, she was like bleeding out of her eyes, bleeding out of her ears, whatever. But next day, the story was Trump said the woman was so angry that she was menstruating. Now, for me, this is a kind of whoever thought that, projecting how they think, because I actually watched the interview and I never thought he meant that. So, but that was selectively edited to make it look like that's what he said. Now, you could go back and watch the interview and make up your own mind. Is that what would have come into your mind? If it was, then you need to check your own thinking, in my view. So that was one of the first ones. Then there was mocking a disabled journalist. And again, anyone who's followed Trump, now I'm not saying it's a good thing to do. It is a bit silly, it is a bit childish, but whenever he mocks people, he does this kind of thing, right? And possibly, if I was going to say to my children, this isn't appropriate to go when you're mocking someone for being stupid, is because one of these days, you're going to be mocking someone who has a disability. Now, that particular journalist, I don't want to get bogged down in this one too much because I do think it's inappropriate of Trump to do this kind of action to mock people. But that particular journalist, I mean, it's obvious when Trump does this, and there's many videos and montages that you could find on the internet very easily of him doing this many times to people who don't have disabilities. He's obviously doing it to imply that their intellectual capacity is low. Like, he's calling them stupid, basically. He's saying they're like dumb animals, right? Now, this particular journalist has a physical disability. I think he's got a deformity on one of his arms. And so the media knows perfectly well that Trump wasn't mocking his disability. It's a lie, and it's another kind of a lie by omission or narrative building. You know what I mean? And I could go on and on about this. Charlottesville, for example. Now, just the other day, me and Carl had someone on the show, an American Democrat, and he brought up Charlottesville. And again, Charlottesville, you watch the unedited video, and I think even Snopes corrected this one. Donald Trump said very fine people on both sides, talking about people who were debating about some statues in Charlottesville. But the media, the mainstream media deceptively edited the video to make it look like he was calling the neo-Nazis who turned up very fine people, okay? And you can go back and watch the video and find out for yourself the truth. And I really, if you're a Democrat and you've got this far, probably you've rage quit and rage unsubscribed by now. Go back and watch the videos for yourself, because you've just been lied to. Next thing, the fucking insurrection. Well, one thing I have noticed in the last little while is the definition for insurrection on Google has been subtly changed. But what it always meant in the past was an armed and organised plot to overthrow the government. That insurrection was a fucking mass trespassing event. And I've said on the channel before, you know, those of you who know me know that I was in Hong Kong during the political strife there, the umbrella movement as it was called. And I saw the same playbook. LegCo, the Legislative Council in Hong Kong, which is the equivalent of Capitol Hill. And the police just suddenly abandoned their posts and let all the protesters wander in. Same sort of thing. Most protesters were just walking around dazed, not knowing what to do. A few people did some vandalism, and there's a lot of suspicion, again in Hong Kong, that a few of the people doing the vandalism were agent provocateurs, you know. But be that as it may, and this is a real problem with politics now. There's a resolution problem. We can zoom in on a person causing trouble and make the narrative that that person represents all the people there, or we can zoom out when we want to cut. So the media can zoom out about, say, for example, a BLM riot and say, look, most of the people here are peaceful, so it's a mostly peaceful riot. But then January 6th, they zoom in to a few people who aren't being peaceful and say, but look at this is an insurrection, okay? Pay attention, because you were being fucking lied to. I'm talking to both sides do it, but honestly speaking, the Democrat side does it most. They really do it most. A couple of other examples I could think of just recently was the bloodbath, where Trump said if Biden, I think it was still Biden at the time, if Biden gets elected, there's going to be a bloodbath in the USA. Again, you watch the whole video. He was obviously talking about an economic bloodbath, and it's a term that's used often in economic speak to talk about an economic disaster. Media deceptively edited it to say he's talking about there being a bloodbath in the USA, meaning like a civil war or another January 6th, you know. I mean, this kind of thing is dangerous, guys. There's been at least 2 attempted assassinations on Trump, possibly at least 3. The media keeps pushing this narrative that he's literally Hitler, he's a threat to democracy. And I think that gives a lot of people a feeling that they should try and kill Trump. He's literally Hitler. What would you do if you could shoot Hitler? You'd shoot him, right? And a lot of these ideologically captured fucking idiots literally think the guy's Hitler. I mean, he was in power for 4 years and didn't do any Hitler things, did he? It's just fucking insanity. He's not Hitler. It's just insane. Just fucking stop it. You fucking ridiculous people. You know, I don't care if you unsubscribe at this point. I'm losing any feeling of having any empathy for you guys. You're just fucking idiots, you know? And then what was the last one? Even Harris, as little as the day before the election, was still going on about this Liz Cheney thing. So what Trump said was that Liz Cheney, who's a fucking warmonger, and he said something like, yeah, she should go to the front lines and face the guns herself. Now, this was a hippie position, am I right? During the Vietnam War, these leaders who are sending young men to their death should go and stand on the front lines and face the guns themselves. But what did the media do? And Harris herself twisted it into a lie that Trump had implied that Liz Cheney should go stand before a firing squad. Now, some people would say that maybe she should, right? But anyway, I'm not going to say that, obviously. But it's not what he said. It's not what he said. And by the way, Democrats, you're suddenly in love with Liz Cheney? I mean, what the fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? You fucking lunatics. So anyway, you know, what is it? Both Biden and Clinton have both said they basically hate half of America, you know, and wonder why they lost. You know, again, this resolution thing, obviously on Twitter, you only see individuals, but I'm seeing a lot on Twitter already. I'm seeing TV shows like The View, Democrat talking heads, which is most of them, right? Saying, oh, she lost because she's a black woman. I'm going to tell you something. Capitalists, Republicans, and conservatives, we care, and I'm going to say we, even though I think I'm a conservative light. I mean, I was fucking left wing not so long ago, but what we care about is we care about safety, we care about being able to make money to support our families, we care about our families' futures, and we care about our communities. Yeah, so if you're a black woman, disabled, lesbian, and you can give us that, we'll elect you. What it is the Democrats have offered two very bad female candidates in a row. Hillary Clinton, who's, to be honest with you, can't possibly be really a well, anyway, Hillary Clinton, a warmonger, a liar, calls half the country a basket of deplorables. Yeah, just a piece of shit. Now, you could, in America and Democrats, you could right now be celebrating Tulsi Gabbard's second term as president, I think. But you offer the wrong people, right? Elizabeth Warren, you've got fucking AOC, who's just like a lunatic. You know, just a ridiculous human being. Elizabeth Warren, who lied about her race, but somehow you think that's acceptable. Kamala Harris, who changes from an Indian to a black person when it suits her. What you got to understand is, for people like me who are like my age, have a family, faced with the everyday stress of keeping head above water, keeping everyone housed and fed and everything like that, university coming up. All of this other fucking shit is just noise. It's noise, you know what I mean? We don't care. We don't care. Just fuck off, you know? Even things like the trans issue. There's already laws to protect people. You know, trans or not, you're not allowed to assault people, right? We're not allowed to discriminate against people. These laws already exist. Stop fucking talking about this shit. We're not interested. It's just a very small minority of people. It's just noise, guys. Noise, noise, noise. What are you going to do to help us? And we hear nothing. So that's why you lose. I mean, you look at somewhere like the UK. I think we're on our, fourth Conservative leader now. Is female. 3 of them have been PM, Prime Minister. The current leader of our Conservative Party, equivalent of your Republicans, I suppose, is black as well, as being a woman. Our last Conservative leader was he Indian? I don't know, he's definitely dark-skinned, but that's the point. I don't even know what nationality he was. I don't care. He was shit as it goes, but my point is, Conservatives don't care about those kind of things. We care about who's going to do the job properly. Right, now listen to me. When it comes to Trump, I'm not saying I think he's a great guy, like on a personal level. Probably, push comes to shove, I would rather hang out with someone like Obama. And in fact, going back in time, on average, I would say most of the leaders of the US that I've thought seem to have nice, cool personalities have been Democrats. So I'd probably rather go out for a beer with Obama or Bill Clinton. But then again, probably I would have gone out for a beer with Reagan. He seemed like a nice guy. But yeah, the Bushes, not so much. But it's not the point. It's the same as when you're fighting a war, right? The people who go to the front lines and fight for you, you know, quite often they're going to do unspeakable things that you don't want to do, you know, and they're doing that to keep us safe. Who do we want at the front lines? We want strong, dare I say it, men. Sometimes it could be strong women. Not being sexist here, but it just usually seems to be men. But either way, I want someone leading who has the strength to go and talk shit to people like Putin, you know, and get shit done. And that's not Kamala Harris. It's not Kamala Harris, you know. That's Trump, and he's proven he can do it before. So I want someone who can go and get shit done. And for better or worse, you might say, why are you taking so much of an interest in US politics? It affects me directly here in Europe. I can say there are some things that do concern me slightly. Obviously, Trump's tariffs are probably going to affect European GDP in not a good way. But again, as I've said before, I think for most ordinary people, we don't really care too much about that stuff, you know. It just doesn't matter to most ordinary people who are just trying to make ends meet. So anyway, yeah, so that's in a nutshell. And I know people are going to get offended, but in a nutshell, I'm not going to vote for someone who fucking hates me because of the colour of my skin, my gender or my sexuality. And that's how I feel. That's what I want you to understand. So when you're on Twitter saying they didn't vote for me because I'm a black woman, you didn't vote for it because you couldn't stand the idea of having a black woman as president. Nah. I wouldn't have voted for you if you were a blonde, Casper the Ghost white man with a beautiful wife. Because you hate me. You hate me. You don't give a shit about me and my problems. That's why you weren't voted for. Though all those people in mid-America who didn't vote for you because you don't represent them. Yeah? Now, one thing I did like about Trump's speech, personally, I think he should have said so. He should have been more gracious and said something about Kamala Harris. He didn't say anything. But he did make a point of saying for all Americans. All Americans. And I think that if you're the president, you should be the president for all Americans, not just the ones on your team. And if all I hear from you is black people, minorities, trans people, LGBTQI, women, and that's all I hear from you non-stop, all day long, every day, I'm not going to vote for you because you don't represent me. So I don't know what the next 4 years is going to hold, guys. My memory of the last Trump presidency was that he didn't get a lot done, although a lot of people say that's because he didn't know who to surround himself with. And this time he seems to have gotten in early, surrounding himself with maybe some better people who are going to offer him some better support. I hope so, because to be honest with you, whoever it have got elected, my hope would simply be that things get better for America and the world, by the way. I just think that chance is much greater under Trump. So in the words of the great Thomas Sowell, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. And one thing I got sick of, the criticism of Donald Trump, was this idea that he's cozying up to Putin or Kim Jong-un of North Korea. And, you know, these two are evil dictators and all this sort of thing. You know, Donald Trump, he's a business guy. And one thing about him is he believes that building relationships is a way to try and solve problems, right? And to me, this just seems to be common sense. This just seems to be common sense, right? And by the way, you know, if you're on the side of Ukraine Zelensky, what is Zelensky? What is this guy? He's cancelled all the elections. By the way, before you get angry and start jumping up and down on your hat, I'm not taking a side in over the Ukraine-Russia thing. I believe the honest thing to say is I don't really know what's going on there. There's so much propaganda. As I always say, I'm old enough to remember, you know, about 7 or 8 years ago when we were being told that the Ukraine is full of Nazis and it should never be allowed into the EU, for example. But basically now you've got this guy Zelensky. He's stopped all elections, so he is like the supreme leader now. He's taken control of the media. He forces people to go and fight on the front line, including old people. I mean, what the hell is he? If he's literally a dictator. He's literally a dictator. Now, he might be the dictator that is on your team, as you perceive it, but definitionally, he is a dictator. So, you know, take with that as you will. But yeah, I mean, it's just a stupid thing. Of course, we need to try and form relationships with people like Putin and Kim Jong-un, whether we like them or not, and work towards peace in the world. Yeah. And as I said to you before, I have 2 teenage sons, and I don't want my sons to go and end up in the fucking meat grinder at the front line of Ukraine and Russia. I don't want there to be a world war where they have to get called up. As far as I'm concerned, if war comes to us, me and my sons will pick up guns and we will stand back to back with our Portuguese brothers and sisters defending this country. But that's about it, guys. That's where we going to draw the line. I don't see any moral sort of impetus for us to go and fight at the front line of Ukraine. Sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah, definitely for me, I'm with Trump in not starting any new wars. He didn't start any new wars. People can argue with me about that, but that's definitely how I saw it. I like the fact that he spoke to all world leaders, and I like the fact that he spoke to them firmly, and people seem to listen to him. You know, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. Yeah, another one I've always found completely ridiculous is this complaint about building a border wall. So many times I've heard the left in the US accuse Trump of being anti-immigration, and he has said many times that he is not against immigration, he's against illegal immigration. So when you complain about Trump's border wall, what I'm hearing is that you are for illegal immigration. You are happy with illegal immigration, right? Now, what I'm going to tell you is, this might come as a surprise to you, most people, and it was borne out again in this election, most people don't like illegal immigration. We see the consequences of illegal immigration, and we don't want it. So therefore, if Trump can build a wall and stop illegal immigration, then we are going to support that. So for example, we see parallels, so in the UK where I'm from, I will see leftists say, oh, you don't like the boats, the illegal immigrants coming across the English Channel every day. Oh, you racist. Don't you know that my grandma was saved in an operation by a surgeon who was from Pakistan? Listen, you fucking lunatics. That doctor didn't turn up illegally on a fucking raft, okay? These people that you middle-class champagne socialists associate with, who are from ethnic minorities, are also other middle-class educated people. They're not the people who are getting dumped in small villages, and that working-class people have to live with the consequences, okay? It's different. It's different. So yeah, a lot of normal, everyday people do want secure borders. The Democrats, you don't want secure borders. That is why we vote against you. Not because Kamala's a woman. Not because she's black or Indian or whatever the fuck she is today. We vote for you because we don't like your policies. Okay? We don't like your policies. Change your policies. Come back to the center. And you'll get back in, I promise you. I promise you. Anyway. If you're stuck with me this far, you really are a true believer, guys. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, guys. I want to hear your opinion in the comments. Obviously, Trump is a controversial figure. So make sure you keep it respectful. But I think I'm going to wrap the video up here. If you like this type of content you hear around here, please consider subscribing. It really, really helps me out. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Muito obrigado, amigos. Ciao.